Detroit's
Might be. From
downtown to Drew Lane's basement.
the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world, where your safest bet is on the time of day. And even that they'll fix if they can figure an angle. It's not a street, it's a merry-go-round, where you can't tell whether that pretty girl sitting over there in the convertible parked by the curb should be called Dimples or Double Cross.
You acid erotic, it's gone.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now, Al?
Happy New Year, everybody. It's 2022, and as we said in 2021, how could this be as bad as the last year? And it turned out 2021 was pretty shit, too. So let's hope that we break the pattern here and we start off strong. And I want to apologize.
What an upbeat way to start the year.
Oh, jeez. Well, you know, I mean, we kind of lower expectations like that great old skit from Mad TV. Did anybody ever watch Mad TV?
Of course. You know what's funny? Of course you liked Mad TV.
It was hilarious.
Let me guess. You prefer that over SNL?
I would say pound for pound, it was funnier than SNL because the skits were shorter.
Okay.
And it wasn't as predictably political. I mean, I
wrong.
pretty much.
I mean, you're wrong.
I share your exasperation, Mark. Already.
I mean, there's one
60
show
seconds
that's
in.
been on since 1975, and the other lasted how many seasons?
Well, that's not to say that one show isn't great. I mean, are you going to say that? Are you going to say that the?
Sure, that's
You
fair
probably
point.
preferred Kids in the Hall, which I would agree with more over Mad TV.
Oh, Kids in the Hall is the best show in
Kids
the
in the Hall
history of
is hilarious,
television.
but I prefer Monty Python to Kids in the Hall.
Oh God, killing me.
Yeah, crushing. No, you're not crushing my head, brother. But no.
All right, sorry, Kaleena.
But I think
Introduce Kaleena because she doesn't have any
Kaleena,
idea
have you
about
heard of
Kids in
any
the
of
Hall.
these shows?
I know SNL.
Yeah. Do you watch it?
Yeah,
Do you like it?
sometimes.
Because old people like me complained about it's not funny anymore.
Wait a minute, you just tell me how hilarious it was.
No, I meant back in when it was going as Mad TV.
Oh wow, get off my lawn. Back then when they
I
used to
don't
have
find-
that Chevy Chase guy.
I don't find it to be as bad as a lot of people think it is, but it definitely has a different attitude now than it did, say, 20 years ago.
Well, yeah, it's a new demographic.
Sure.
So
No, I get it. I just wondered.
Oh.
I like getting a young person's opinion on things.
I like that I'm the young person. That makes me feel good.
I know.
Oh, it's the fact that you actually know it's Saturday Night Live tells us what a boring holiday you've had.
Yeah.
What have you been doing since spring break? And let me go back to my apology. We played sort of a classic episode last week, our New Wave Music Holiday Edition, which when I listened to it again, I thought it was great. And I hope that if you didn't hear it, you'll go back and check it out. But
I should have edited out that Sonic Youth song. Just saying.
Oh God, yeah, no, that was tough on the ears.
What were you thinking with that?
But we wanted to provide a broad
Garbage?
spectrum.
Oh, okay.
But actually, I wish Garbage was a new age band because I'd love to play some Shirley Manson. But
Well, then play it. Who's stopping you?
There's a contribution.
Who's stopping you?
I knew 2022 was going to be bad. It's bad.
I mean,
already.
come on. Play what you like.
I like new wave music.
I know, but you like other stuff too, so play it.
I do, but I we kind of have a theme going there. We have a motif
I
going.
don't know about we, but yeah, you do.
The people who care do. I guess that would make it a singular endeavor.
Okay.
But so we dropped out of some of the chart rankings. But I'm pleased to say.
Oh,
that
what weird place.
We held steady in the Ukraine.
Oh,
so
great.
Last week's episode did not in any way affect our powerhouse position in the rankings of news and commentary podcasts consumed by the good people of the Ukraine, who, given the Russian forces massing at their border, could use a little something to distract them. So we're pleased to be able to provide that service. We're sort of like Hunter Biden without the big payday or other big things. Speaking for Shawn here, and so to my friends in the Ukraine, I say
He was not pleased with that.
I say Happy New Year, and if someone could translate that for me into Ukraine, that would be great. Kaleena, is that? Did you?
No.
No. Okay. So,
So in the rundown, is that the Happy New Year section? Are we done with that?
Yeah, check. Check it out. Shawn likes to fly through the rundown.
I know, you kind of like, boy, I really wish Shawn would get engaged earlier. And then he does, and you're like, boy, I really wish Shawn would go back into stasis until Cyrus wakes him up. It's like, well, I got one more thing to say. Okay, well, so Happy New Year.
Did you have a good break,
Happy
Shawn?
New Year.
Did you have a good break?
Yeah, it was fine. I flew from, where was it New Year's? Florida.
I don't know where
Miami. Miami and Georgia.
You were
no,
watching
excuse me.
right.
Michigan,
Michigan
get
and Georgia in Miami.
reduced to a puddle of blood.
Yeah, that was not much of a game.
No, not at all.
Do you think that the first half of the Michigan State CFP game or the Michigan CFP game was more competitive?
Oh, that's right, because we have to compare these things.
No, because I had people posting stuff immediately to me like, well, now we know what it's been like, little brother. I'm like, don't bring me into it. But we were watching the game.
Just so you
I
know,
was in Atlanta.
Just so you know, it goes both ways.
You saw the memes all over the place about, finally a Big Ten team scored in the college football playoff other than Ohio State.
Exactly. So this is the kind of thing I'm
But
talking
Ohio
about because
State got blown out. What, 2018? They got blown out
By
by
Clemson.
They've been blown out a couple.
Yeah.
They were sort of blown out last year against Alabama, kind of.
But obviously they've been more successful because they have a championship.
They have.
Sure.
They have.
But
No,
one of the
you're right,
discussions
Mike.
that we had with Spartans
It started
watching
right
it
away.
in Atlanta was, at least we kept it to 10-0 in the first half, but I never really had a feeling in the first half of the Michigan State-Alabama game, which was a 1-4 matchup, not a 2-3 matchup, by the way, but that Michigan State was going to carry the day. I mean, there was that one long pass at the end of the half where Cook didn't quite get it there that would have made it maybe 10-7, but I never felt that game was a winnable game for the Spartans. And I certainly, to me, watching the Michigan game and the Michigan State game, whereas the first half was better for Michigan State, but the overall score was better for Michigan, both games seemed to me like nice season, time to get dunked.
Sure.
Here's what I would say
You
about
were at both of them, Shawn.
I was, and here's what I would say very, very quickly about it. The difference to
Take
me.
your time.
No. Dude.
You got someplace to go?
No, yeah, I do actually. No, I don't. The restroom probably eventually.
Okay, we'll edit that out.
If that's
No, we
okay.
won't.
No, we won't. No.
Yeah, no, we won't. Look, the difference in the game was at the line of scrimmage. To me, Michigan State that year did not have the skill players they'd had the couple of years before, and that's why they struggled to score a little bit. Their defensive backs were also not as good, but up front they had pros on both sides on that offensive line and that defensive line in a way that in the middle, the tackles in the center, right, in a way that Michigan did not.
But Michigan had the offensive line of the year.
No,
the
but
Joe Moroid, wasn't
they
it?
didn't have Jack Conklin or anybody close to that level, right? I mean,
We'll get to the overhyping
and
of Michigan's
I
talent
remember
later.
Nick Saban saying after that game, because Michigan State had played Alabama a few years before with Kirk Cousins and just got annihilated up front. And I remember Saban saying after that game, yeah, they competed with us in the trenches. State just didn't have the skill guys that year. Michigan had the skill guys last week, but they were overwhelmed
The speed.
at the point of attack on both sides of the ball.
There's one play when you knew Michigan was just totally outmatched, and it was they put Blake Corum, one of their fastest guys, on a little swing pass, in motion on a swing pass, and he loses yards because Nakobe Dean is just all over him, linebacker. So
Yeah,
then it was like, we're not good enough yet.
No, it was the combination of the speed, especially in the
Size.
and the linebackers, in the athleticism and size.
Oh, those defensive tackles?
Yeah.
Woo-wee, yeah.
And then their offensive, so that they were physically overmatched. I did not think Michigan State was physically overmatched where it mattered, which is why it was 10-0. And if you remember, Connor Cook threw a pick in the end zone right before the half, which would have made it 10-7.
Right, which I just said. Thanks for listening.
No, you said he threw a long pass, but that's okay. They were down near the red zone. But anyway,
I love splitting hairs.
I know.
Over a
To
game
your-
that's 5 years
To
old.
your point, though, Mike.
Oh, yes, thank
To
you.
your point, they were absolutely competitive with Alabama for a while.
Who was?
Michigan State.
Maybe in the first half.
Yeah, they were.
Felt like
Sure.
I never watched that game thinking, wow, they're physically overmatched up front. They weren't. Michigan State had a lot of dudes that year in the trenches.
Does that make you feel better?
No, I just want to know from an eyewitness because this is something that both schools have been debating furiously and pointlessly. But Shawn was an eyewitness to both. And before we move on, I've been meaning to say this for weeks, so forgive me for gapping on this. But congratulations to all the other Michigan colleges. Central Michigan, what a friggin' season. I mean, they go and they smoke Washington State. They go from a $175K payday to a $2.3 million payday. They have a showcase game. They have the nation's leading rusher who has a great game. I mean, terrific performance by the Chips. Western Michigan makes a bowl. Once again, a program that doesn't get quite its due. Eastern Michigan makes a bowl.
Got killed.
Didn't work out so well, but not every green and white team can win their bowl games like Michigan State always does.
Right.
But
Always comes
that
back to
program has really come back and is something that they were facing extermination, and now they're going to bowls. I mean, this was a great year for most of Michigan's college football programs.
Locally, the sports world is so much better when both Michigan and Michigan State are good. And it's funny, like, going around and just living your life, you see far more people wearing Michigan State or Michigan stuff. I don't see any Lion stuff. I don't see any Red Wing stuff. Pistons. It's just so few and far between, and that's pretty unique to this area.
I got on a plane yesterday at Seattle's airport with people in Lions gear who'd flown out there for that game.
Yeah, but I mean, just walking around though, you don't think
relatives?
I mean, you judge, and this is maybe the best way to judge it, but judge by what people read for the free press.
Yeah.
Metrics and subscriptions. The Lions still drive it.
Really?
Yeah, even last week when our editors were talking about that, we're trying to figure this out. Maybe you guys can make some sense of this. Even last week, the build-up to Michigan, Georgia, and the Orange Bowl, first time they've been in the college football playoff, our Lions coverage was outperforming the Michigan coverage. Now, a former free press writer who is shall go nameless, Nick Baumgartner, now works for the Athletic, said, "Well, that's a condemnation on your Michigan coverage." He was joking.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
It should be better.
Yeah, no. It's been really good. The guy, the Michael Cohen, who writes for us, does really, really good work. But
Shitty
we were trying to figure that out.
Terrible lawyer.
We were trying to figure out why the hell the Lions are outperforming.
I lied for President Trump.
And it's
and
because
Michigan is great. By the way, Michael Cohen, Western Michigan law grad.
You know why? Because the Michigan State fans are.
Wait, not Cooley? I thought he went to Cooley Law.
They're now part of Western Michigan.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Okay.
They get
Was it when he was there? No. I'm splitting hairs again.
Lions fans are Michigan and Michigan State fans.
Sean's just plowing through.
And there's a little bit of optimism.
Okay.
Weirdly around the Lions. That's the only thing we can figure.
Say what? Say that again?
I know Mike would perk up with that.
Say,
There's a weird until Sunday. There's been this weird little.
Did you just link Michigan State to the Lions?
No, I'm saying people that like Michigan State like the Lions. People that like Michigan like the Lions, but they don't like each other.
Okay.
Michigan State fans aren't going to read Michigan stuff unless they're hate reading.
No, I thought you were somehow
vice versa.
trying to taint the Spartans by linking them to the Lions.
No.
Okay, thank you.
I see what you mean. Yeah, there's two teams that would split readership.
They would split the
as opposed to
readership
one.
as opposed to one.
Staying off the rundown, too, that ML took a lot of time to prepare.
What?
I had another question regarding the Lions in media and broadcasting, and you didn't see it because you were...
This is a terrible year already.
You were in Seattle.
I see no distinct
and
difference
ML doesn't watch the Lions.
How about going from Miami to Seattle? That's fun, huh?
It's a long flight.
Yeah.
Should've
Anyway.
drove.
From Coke to coffee.
But the Lions have had their broadcast...
Coca-Cola.
The color commentator has been Aqib Talib, and he's been incredibly divisive online because people cannot stand his vernacular because he doesn't use proper tenses, proper plurals. And then there's other people that defend him because, hey, that's just how he speaks, but look how he breaks the game down. And I just wondered if you had an opinion about it because I find it distracting, to tell you the truth.
I haven't heard him much.
He's done a handful of Lions games. I think his first one was when they played the Washington football team, and then he's done the last 2 weeks.
Kaleena, do you watch the Lions?
No.
I guess the question would be, should a color commentator or a broadcaster speak, the Midwestern proper grammar that they always used to strive to do?
No, not necessarily. You speak how you speak. I mean, if it depends on what the audience wants, I guess. I don't know.
It's bad enough, though, where it's become a distraction to where people are tweeting about it like, oh, my gosh.
What kind of people?
Well, Twitter people, so whatever, take that for what it's worth. But I've had other people tell me, and they've noticed that yeah, wow, this is not, proper grammar, so much to the point. Look, I mess up all the time. I slip up in my grammar. You guys like to point it out.
I do, too. Mike does.
Which is fine.
Kaleena
But when it's done repeatedly during
I'm
a
pretty
game,
good. I'm pretty good.
it becomes a distraction.
It helps to think before you speak, but
I just think those jobs that are so few and far between, Maybe that's not what they want.
Is he interesting and fun to listen to?
No.
Okay, well,
No.
to
But
me,
Gus
that-
Johnson is who we did the game with. So.
Yeah.
And I love Gus. I think Gus is great.
He's a bit of an ass kisser, but yeah, he's a good Detroit guy.
Bit of an
No, I
ass
mean, he's
kisser.
one of these guys who always loves the home team. You know, he's kind of a cheerleader type guy, and there's lots of guys. in
Well,
the
to
booth.
me, he's more of a cheerleader for the sport itself.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
He's easily excitable.
Yeah.
So
All right, I should have just stuck to the rundown.
No, that's okay. We brought Kaleena in to talk
John Madden. Does
very
Kaleena want to talk
personally
about John Madden?
no how Betty White's death affected her.
Oh my god, that was so sad. Like, when Betty White died, the first thing I thought of was my grandma because my grandma loves Betty White so much. But
Did
she's
you?
such a great lady.
Isn't that amazing that she could be relevant for that long to so many different generations?
I find it inspiring
No.
that you can worry about your grandma and realize your grandma's probably 20 years younger than Betty White.
What do you mean, no?
Well, I was worried about her because she loves Betty White. I would always go over to her house when I was little and we'd watch The Golden Girls.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. The Betty White.
You don't
love
watch
is
The
a little-
Lions.
It's a little
That's
overdone
okay.
for me.
No, because they
No,
suck.
come on, dude.
They're very bad.
Oh my God.
I don't. Betty White does nothing for me. She never had, and I respect her career, but I think people loved her because she was a nice old lady, which is fine.
No, she had
Louis
a little
Nivens was
vulgarity in her.
pretty
You know what I mean?
saucy.
Yeah.
Back in the Mary Tyler Moore, she was subversively funny.
and still was.
But was she
you know?
funnier than Cloris Leachman?
yes.
You think so? On
Yeah,
that
because
show?
Cloris Leachman was just annoying, whereas Sue Ann Nivens was sort of the sweetheart, but also just really saccharine. I mean, she was really nasty, and she could be really. Boy, we were killing the whole audience with Mary Tyler Moore references. But
Kaleena, have you ever heard of
and I
Mary
think we
Tyler
also
Moore?
lost
I've
Gavin
heard of it.
Darren McGavin recently. No, not Darren McGavin. Gavin McLeod. So God rest. your-
Yeah, who I
Stubing?
love.
Rest in peace, Captain Stubing.
Sorry,
But,
Kaleena. No.
But no, but Sue Ann Nivens would smile, and you knew that it was
Yes.
this facade that she was really
dismissive.
she was very superior and very judgmental and everything. And whereas Cloris Leachman was just kind of like very annoying. Cloris Leachman also
Betty-
dead.
My point is, if Betty White had died, say 20 years
Here goes
ago,
our under 60 demographic.
I don't think there'd be as much love for her.
Well, yeah, because she continued
I know.
to
She
have
lived a long
cultural.
time.
No, she continued to have cultural moments and showed that subversive quality. She did. There'd be little.
She's still
clips.
on Hot in
She was all
Cleveland,
over.
or whatever that show is.
No, what I was thinking about when she died was the fact that we lost two people, her and John Madden, who was also relevant for 40 years for several different generations
Well,
and
that
different
guy-
iterations, right?
I will say nothing bad about John Madden. I mean, there's a guy that reinvented himself 3 times.
Well, that's
Well,
what I'm saying.
little known
But-
fact.
and Betty White did the same. That's my point.
They were
Acted.
lovers.
Maybe
Oh,
so.
gross.
That's where the turducken
Boom.
came from.
No, but isn't
That's
that
where Boom
something?
came from.
Kaleena knew who Betty White was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know who John Madden is?
No.
Really?
Yeah, but her.
Not even from the video game? Because I understand you millennials, you basically play video games and complain about people as old as Betty White.
You've heard of Madden, right? The football game?
Yeah.
That's named after him.
Okay. Well, I didn't know.
But that's what's interesting. He was a football player, a really good football player. Then he was probably the best NFL coach.
In the 70s, he was awfully good.
He's probably better than Vince Lombardi.
Yeah, he was awfully good.
He's no Belichick, but he had a great winning percentage. And then he goes into broadcasting. Well, did commercials
And
too.
Belichick
Yeah.
wasn't Belichick in Cleveland.
And sets the
Sure.
standard for color commentary. right?
Absolutely, and one of the best. He kind of
And then the game, right? And then the
Then the
game
game.
comes along. But I would argue Betty White did similar kind of. That's why, yeah.
Betty White did a lot for like
She did
the gay community and the like black community.
And just
produced
saying,
a lot of
speaking your
shows.
mind, right?
Yeah.
And the subversiveness that Mike talked about.
She was that.
You guys love Betty
she
White
had that
so much.
smile, but she had some claws.
How about that Dan Reeves? No,
Oh, Dan.
Dan Reeves picked the worst week to die because no one's talked about it. It's all about
Well,
John
plus,
Madden and Betty White.
You don't
if
like
you're
women's
Dan
soccer
Reeves, you always have that footnote that said
or
Dan
tennis.
Reeves.
You don't
Bud
like
Grant.
women other than
Wait,
your wife.
No. What do you
you like Kaleena?
Okay, stop broad brushing me. What are you talking about? I've watched women's soccer. I don't find it. I'm not going to follow it. I don't find it entertaining. I would prefer to watch women's tennis over men's tennis.
We're going to talk about Joe Rogan later, right? So you're channeling
Maybe.
him.
No, why can't I have an opinion that's different than yours?
You can.
Okay.
Why can't I disagree with
Don't
it?
broad brush me.
I'm not broad brushing you.
I hate women.
Just, I
Maybe-
didn't say you
Love
hated women.
I think they're the best.
Maybe Mark
From a
just doesn't
distance.
like 99-year-old
Mike Pence.
women.
What'd you say, ML?
I said maybe Mark just doesn't like 99-year-old women. Everybody else, anybody 98 and under, he loves.
Or he doesn't like a woman who plays a sport either.
No, what it is I haven't heard anybody in the
Unless they
last
play
20
tennis.
years go, oh, that thing Betty White did was so great in the last 20 years.
God, she
Are you
got
kidding
she
me? I
got
thought
love
she
for
had a
that Snickers
renaissance.
commercial. Yeah, she did have a
Did she
renaissance.
do a rap and wasn't she
A
in a
Snickers
roast
commercial.
and stuff? I mean,
Yeah, kind of like Madden with the Miller Lite.
she was in the Valerie Bertinelli show. I don't know what
great.
it is because I don't watch these shows.
Yeah,
but
no, it was, which was popular. Yeah,
it's pretty gutsy to cast a 90-something-year-old broad on your show and just say, well, what did you write for Betty next week? So I figured I'd write it when we got to rehearsal because, you give her a big role and all of a sudden she's dead and you can't get Christopher Plummer to fill in for her. I think he's dead now,
Dead too, yeah. He's been dead, hasn't he?
she
he
didn't
just
do
died
that
recently.
I mean, to me, she had a little bit of that
Eye of
quick
Sauron.
that Don Rickles kind of quick insult sort of stuff going
Sure.
on. Right? She just didn't do it on stage in the same way.
She was more. Don Rickles was sort of obvious, nasty stuff. The guys who give you the needle, where it's sort of like, it's sort of like the sharp knife. You don't feel the cut, but when somebody hits you with the rusty blade, you feel every stroke. Don Rickles was a rusty blade on that was not even had any iron left in it, whereas somebody like Betty White was almost like a hypodermic needle, where like, okay, you don't have to faint
So
now.
you think
Draw the
Betty
blood?
You think Betty White's funnier than Don Rickles?
Absolutely, and a better kisser.
Sean?
Oh, that's a
Both
tough
of
one.
them.
To me, they had a
Sean?
similar subversive kind of quality.
Sean, answer the question.
I think they're the same.
Jeez, what a Sean answer.
Sorry,
Now, before we get to Antonio
Sean
Brown,
Don
Such a
Rickles.
Sean
You love
answer.
Don Rickles more, didn't you?
Oh, God, yeah. Love Don Rickles.
because you hate women. Before we get
What?
to Antonio Brown, I want to ask Kaleena, because there's a lot of people who I think were hate watching the bowl games. I know I had one friend in particular who said, he said, I'm okay if Spartans lose as long as Michigan lose. If I have to have the Spartans lose in order to have Michigan lose, I will make that deal with the devil today.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
And I said, well, I hope the Spartans win. I'm not willing to give that up. I certainly hope Michigan loses. Kaleena's obviously a more sophisticated and genteel person than the rest of us, but what did you do for the bowl games? Where did you watch and what were you hoping? I know you come from a good Spartan family.
So I watched the Wings game because my brother is a big Wings fan. I love the Wings too, but we did flip back and forth during commercial break to watch the U of M bowl game, and I did hope they lose, and it was kind of nice to watch them lose.
Class act.
It was good. I actually have a T-shirt that says "Hail No" on it that I didn't wear because I didn't want to,
You guys are
invoke the
obsessed with
wrath of the
Michigan.
gods.
Spartan fans are obsessed with Michigan.
No, it's just because they have and actually, I've been a big critic of players who sit out, so I was really glad to see Hutchison sit out the game.
Yeah, good one.
Why have you been a big critic?
I like the players to play the game,
Yeah.
but I'll tell you, I think Hutchinson actually hurt his draft chances by playing.
So you
because he was not a factor against NFL talent.
No, he didn't. What are you talking about? Did you not watch the previous 2 games that he played in, or the whole season?
I did playing Big Ten teams that cannot compete with the upper echelon of the SEC. And when he played
Sean,
against NFL caliber
will you
players,
educate him about the
Hutchison
Ohio
was
State tackle
not
that he went
a
against?
factor.
Petit Foray, the guy who sat out because he's going to the NFL. He sat out the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, he's got talent, but I don't. Yeah, Mike.
So you wouldn't draft him in the. You wouldn't
Mike,
draft
in
him.
fairness, Georgia was chipping and using tight ends and doing other
They
things.
threw
but-
screens. I think they're throwing a screen right now.
They've
That's
based-
Why didn't
Michigan.
Ajabo get through and crush these guys?
No,
Michigan,
you're right. Ajabu, he's nowhere near Hutchinson.
No, he's not. But Kirby Smart, Georgia's head coach, built his whole offensive game plan on the idea of getting the ball quickly. Outs, slants, screens, all that sort of stuff. So they had no chance to rush.
ML, do you really think Kenneth Walker should have played in the Peach Bowl? And on the other side, Kenny Pickens for Pittsburgh.
yes, I do.
Do you think Matt Corral should have played for Ole Miss?
Absolutely, and so did Matt Corral.
Yeah, and then he got hurt.
He got a sprained ankle. He'll be all right.
I just think they're pointless bowl games.
I think the problem is you're putting so much money into this. I know there's so much money in there already, but when you take
You got it.
I prefer college sports to pro sports across the board, with the exception of NHL hockey, because there just isn't much collegiate hockey. But when you start to just turn these college sports into pro sports and it's all about money,
They already are.
I'm going to become a big high school sports
They have
fan.
they have been for 30 years.
it's
And things like the
it's
transfer
exponential
portal
now.
are new, and that really
And
helped Michigan State
and
this year.
And I didn't like that, and I don't like the NIL, even though we have an NIL athlete that they show sponsors, and I don't like the coaches making that much money.
Should Brian Kelly have been forced to coach Notre Dame?
Brian Kelly should have been forced to either fulfill the terms of his contract or to pay an obscene payout.
They did. They did have a payout on his contract.
Okay, then I guess he
And LSU
fulfilled the
paid.
terms of his contract. If his contract had a buyout and they paid the buyout, then he fulfilled the terms of his contract.
So,
Now, I think Notre Dame wishes that Brian Kelly had coached that game because Freeman, was he in the bathroom for the second half? Did he not know what was going on? I mean, I was listening to that game on the way back from
was
Georgia,
a
and I was like,
game.
is anybody on the sidelines for Notre Dame? What's going on here? They were smoking the mullet, and all of a sudden they couldn't do anything.
So are you aligned with Kirk Herbstreit, who said that the kids today just don't love football?
No, I don't agree with that. I think that's a ridiculous statement.
Yeah, he walked it back pretty quick, too.
But I think when you have a kid who's never played a down of college football, who's already a millionaire, and then transfers before he's played a down of college football to another college program, you've just made everything about the money and not about the college.
So you're referring to the Ohio State freshman. I can't remember his name.
I think it is.
What is it?
Ewert or Ewing or something like that.
Yeah, from Texas, goes to Ohio State, gets $1 million from, I think, some tea company and some other thing, national, not local to Columbus or anything.
Right.
And he transfers back. He wanted to go to Texas the whole time, but they have a state law that if you were that high school age or something, you can't make the money on the NIL. So it's really kind of unfair to him that he had to leave to go make money. I don't understand why these kids can't make money.
Or transfer.
I'd let him transfer only because the coaches walk out on these programs without,
the coaches make
without
money.
a second thought.
The coaches make money. So
Yeah, which I think is obscene. I mean,
My niece went from Western Michigan to Eastern Michigan because she liked some folks at the theater department there.
Yeah. Is she allowed to get money to be an actress right now if she got a cast?
Absolutely, she is.
Exactly.
Absolutely,
did she
is.
sign
Do her
a
craft?
commitment
Yeah.
to? Did she sign a commitment to Western or Eastern? Are they paying for her college? Are they paying for
She
her
had a little
books?
scholarship money at Western, yeah.
Sure.
And that happens all the time. The athletes aren't the only ones that get scholarship money on campuses.
Yeah, hey,
And it's not a contract.
I have less of a problem with the transfer portal than I do with the NIL, but this is a tired subject on this show. We've already discussed it.
It's not on the rundown, Shawn.
I love that you're here, Kaleena, and he's banging on the NIL.
I just like to watch it happen.
Hey,
I just want to see a fight again.
The problem with NIL is that there aren't enough people like Kaleena being sponsored, and there are too many people who haven't played it down or who only went to Ohio State because they have a problem in Texas who make $1 million. To me, the reasons why you go to college is because you want to be a part of that college, not because it's the most lucrative, not because it's all this other stuff.
That's exactly what Herbstreit said. That's
I
almost
agree.
exactly what I don't know.
But you can love football and not chase a dollar.
Sure. And I think the majority of kids do.
But you go to a certain college to springboard out into the rest of the world, no matter what you're doing, whether you're an athlete or not. I mean, that's why.
If you want to be a broadcast journalist and you decide to go to Syracuse, even though you grew up an Oberlin College fan, that makes sense to me. Okay, you're making a career decision and all that other stuff. But I would
So are
also
these
hope,
guys.
in some regards,
gals.
that you also like Syracuse because you could probably be just as successful going to any of the top 10 or 20 college football programs. If you were the top quarterback in the country or name your position, you could have your choice of a dozen programs where any one of them are going to set you up for an equal level of success. I don't think there are a dozen broadcast journalism programs that can prime you for what comes after college as well as like a Syracuse, or even here, CMU has a very good broadcast journalism school. And of course, there's a lot of talented cats who've come out of Michigan State's journalism school for print, broadcast, and ransom note. Right?
The last thing I'll say about it is I just, the bowl games, and I watch them. I mean, and I gamble. I like betting on sports. So I'm probably part of the problem. But I think it's ridiculous when you have the Duke Mayo Bowl, which is a 4-hour commercial for mayonnaise, where they're eating things with mayonnaise, and the coach gets all the mayo
That's
dumped
funny,
on
I
him.
think,
Thought it was so funny.
But it's a 3-hour ad.
And Duke wasn't even in the game.
Who gets? Yeah.
What do you think the
who
Peach
are the
Bowl
teams?
was?
I know.
Who were
It was the Chick-fil-A Bowl.
Like every
Exactly.
bowl is sponsored now.
Exactly.
The Goodyear.
And who makes the money off of it?
No idea.
Well, yeah, the coaches usually get a bonus. The athletic directors get a bonus.
Yeah, but the kids get a great
More
experience.
Bowl
importantly,
games themselves.
the bowl committees make six figures for what? For nothing.
Yeah, but the
And
kids
the
get a
players
great
and
experience.
The television networks,
Zero.
the TV networks.
Yeah.
Kids get a great experience. The cheerleaders, the marching
I
band.
don't disagree with that, but
it's a
they
reward
wouldn't
for-
be there without the players.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not going
So
to.
they should get something other than a gift bag.
So you like college sports more than pro, except for hockey?
Yeah, and I really like college hockey. It's just not easy to see.
It's
I
not as
much prefer
exciting.
college.
Yeah, well, the other thing with college hockey is when you watch it, there's a lot of passes that other guys would have caught. You know what I mean? And there's a speed issue and stuff like that. But I just find that I feel more connected to the college athletes, and I also think the game's more exciting. Well, there's more things likely to happen. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
crazy stuff happens.
the few NBA games I've watched in the last couple of years, it's a bunch of giant guys jacking up threes. It's not very exciting.
Let me just
basketball.
okay. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I don't watch that much. I'll concede right now that I may be missing a lot of pro basketball.
Yeah, I disagree with you on hoops, but let me just. So it's an emotional connection you're making, right? 'Cause
That's
I
what
was-
I've always said. I
that's what
don't
this is.
cheer for the Lions because I have nothing to do with the Lions
It's
except I'm cursed that they're in my city.
It's an emotional connection. It's a question of identity because it's not. If you're just talking about what these athletes are doing and you think about it in a vacuum. And I was thinking about this when I was in Seattle. I was watching the Lions get blown out by the Seahawks, and immediately, so Russell Wilson, the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
I'd just come
Screwed
from
Michigan
a
State out of
college
a
game.
Big Ten championship.
I was at a college game 2 days earlier, and I've been in a lot of college football this fall. Russell Wilson in the first or second series throws just a tiny little 15-yard out pass on the run that hits a guy in stride right before he steps out of bounds. And I'm like, whoa, right? You don't see that at the college, and they're level. Rarely. There are millions of little things like that. The skill level and the speed. It's a huge difference. So I understand what you're saying, but for me, I zero in on that. Wow, a human being just did that.
Yeah.
And that's not why you watch college sports. You're like, oh, they represent me, or I think of myself as attached to them in some way.
I would rather have a bad Michigan State team that I can be proud of than a bunch of gangsters who beat the shit out of everybody because
That's another
they
overgeneralization.
reflect
Gangsters. What?
Another overgeneralization.
Forget gangsters, woke mofolk.
I mean, but what do you mean by gangsters? But by
Here we
the
go.
way,
I
the
mean
NFL,
guys who rape women and who cause fights in dorms who act like they're part of a gang.
and
That's
where are
what
they
I mean.
coming from? They're coming from colleges too.
Nah, don't start that bullshit because we got white guys who do shitty stuff too.
No, I'm saying these players are coming from the college ranks. It happens at the college ranks too a little bit is what I'm saying.
No, I'm talking about college kids who go around campus acting like jerks. I'm talking about guys who disrespect women, who beat people up, who drive drunk, who act like assholes. Those people,
That's
to
a
me,
different
that's
story.
a gangster type
yeah,
of thing.
that's a different story. But I would say my last quick point: the NFL, the margin.
Last one was the other point was quick.
The margin for. I'm
about
sorry.
your first quick
I'm
point?
sorry you haven't dominated this week. The
I just listened to something about Russell Wilson in Seattle. I mean,
The skill. I knew what you were saying.
exactly, Mark did.
But I know what
I'm
I'm
saying you
saying,
dominated that
too.
conversation.
guys
with
should
No,
fight
you're
more.
talking about more exciting. The NFL's games are decided by a touchdown, most of them every week. It's a lot harder to win. It comes down to a few plays.
What's exciting to me is something I'm invested in.
Let me
No,
ask
I
you this,
understand.
ML. Would you rather watch, say, the Rams play the Arizona Cardinals or UCLA play Arizona State?
Good question.
I wouldn't watch either game.
But if you
Oh,
had
so
to
you don't
make
like
a
the sport.
choice,
Huh?
but if you had to make a choice,
What's my choice again? Getting punched in the mouth or getting choked to death?
I mean, but then again, you didn't make a choice between Betty White.
yeah,
and,
but that's my
Tom
MO.
No, he wanted both Betty White and John
That's
Madden.
excuse.
It would
Yeah,
be
but
the
that's just me.
creepiest
I mean, that's who I am.
three-way in Washtenaw County history.
That's who I am.
Sean, John, and Betty. And depends. So what was the choice again? I got to watch the shitty
Just a random
pro team
NFL
and
game
shitty-
versus a random college game.
I would watch a random college game. I watched bowl games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch pro games.
I'd watch them both. But.
Well, there you go. I'm glad we asked you.
Which leads us back to the rundown because you have Antonio Brown on there who quit in the middle of the game, which was utterly hilarious. I thought it was funny. It made me laugh.
Do we need to set that up just a tiny bit or no?
Well, go ahead.
No, you do it.
How do you want me to set it up? Antonio Brown, the wide receiver
Yeah.
for the Buccaneers, and has been, I mean, everybody knows who AB is. The guy is kind of a train wreck. Always has been kind of a train wreck. But what I find interesting now that
They were playing the Jets.
Incredibly talented Central Michigan grad who played for the Steelers and was coaxed out of retirement by the Buccaneers, right?
And Tom Brady. And they're in a game Sunday, and the Tampa coach, Bruce Arians, asked Antonio Brown to go back in.
And he wouldn't go.
And he wouldn't go.
Twice. And so he said, then just get out of here.
And then Mike Evans, I think one of the receivers, a couple of the teammates tried to calm him down, and he couldn't. And then he stripped. He took his shoulders off, took his pads off, ripped his shirt off, and then ran through the end zone in the middle of the game.
Which is bizarre, and that's why I kind of found it funny, because I like things that are weird and different. But there's been this...
I didn't think it was funny.
You didn't think it was funny?
No, it was... No.
Why not?
Because it looked like he was having a breakdown. He walked away from millions of dollars in that moment and just... I mean, it was unprecedented.
Well, he's done.
Y'all ever seen anything like that in an NFL
Dennis
game?
Rodman.
It's not unprecedented that he's walked away from millions. I mean, he...
No, that's that part true, but just...
Yeah, Ricky Williams walked
in the
away.
Middle of a game, sort of walk out of the NFL life like that.
Dennis Rodman.
Jimmy Pearsall running backwards around the bases is the only real parallel I can think of. And that's from like 1950.
Yeah. No, it was... And Brady's response afterward was trying to talk about some empathy.
I thought he was open in the end zone.
The guy's having, a breakdown.
That's kind of where I was going with it, because I find it really intriguing now that we're all of a sudden very concerned about his mental health when he has done these things for a long, long, long time, and people have tried to help him, and he doesn't want any help. So at what point do you keep trying to help somebody who doesn't want to help themselves?
That's a good question. The difference is this happened on camera. The other things he's done have been reported. It's like what happened with Ray Rice. You know, when you read a story about domestic violence, and people suffer the consequences sometimes, but if there's video,
but this guy
remember the video with. I mean, remember and it sucks that it takes that.
But AB has assaulted women.
He has.
He lied about.
And there's no excuse.
Vaccination card. I mean, there's a whole litany.
He should have been gone a long time ago.
Threw that chair off of a condo. I mean, he should have gotten help a long time ago. And I feel like people keep.
The NFL,
just people in general, just keep saying, "Well, he's mentally ill. He needs help," but he's not doing anything to help himself.
I agree.
I'm going to fast.
So I'm just going to laugh at it
on the AB story. AB is going to be. Now I'm drawing a blank in my man. Free Press has done some great stories on him. Other people have too. The hockey player Joe Murphy.
Oh yeah.
That someday we're going to read about AB living in the bushes somewhere.
There was a receiver
going to burn right.
But you know what's
receiver for the Lions who had
Titus Young Jr. mental illness, but he went and got help. I think he was forced to.
But exactly,
he had a couple.
But a lot of folks that have mental illness are eventually forced to. That's part of the mental illness, right?
But AB has never been held accountable for any of his actions.
Well, that's the thing. Once he has no value to anybody,
ever,
AB doesn't matter. I mean, all these people who are, we got to get arms, or we got to do this, the minute he slows down a little bit, or he can't pull a ball out of the air, it's gonna be like, yeah, Antonio's crazy as hell.
And nobody cared about his other transgressions.
No, we're hypocritical that way for sure.
Sure, because nobody cared about his transgressions until it happened during a game, and now it was like, oh, this is horrible.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's
because it was there
the back of a masseuse.
Everybody could see it.
Yeah,
that's what made it. What do you think, Kaleena?
Well, a lot of people don't follow sports outside of sports. So I understand why a lot of people didn't care much before now, because they just want to see their players play, and that's it.
You're right.
But since it's happening, I feel like coaches should have stepped in a long time ago. He's got he has a huge support system. Why haven't they forced him to go to therapy now?
I think they've tried. I mean, the legals, he hasn't been held accountable for any of his legal problems either. Doesn't pay bills.
They're suspended a couple times, right? That's about.
Yeah, suspended over the vaccination card. It's just every excuse has been made for him because he's a really good football player.
Right. Other workplaces, they tell you,
you
can't come to work until you go to employee assistance, and they've given us a clean bill of health. In the NFL, they're like, well, every week you don't perform, we lose games, and that hurts our chances. So you coddle somebody like that. You do what you need to do to keep them going, because it's all for very selfish purposes, and it's all for, I mean, that's why I think when Antonio Brown, when his career is over and his money runs out, he's going to be sleeping in the bushes just like Joe Murphy somewhere up in...
That's where he started. I mean, remember, he used to sleep in his car when he was 16, 17. He was broke as hell when he was at Central.
What do you think of the difference, the idea of what you being coddled, and a coach or an organization says, well, we're going to give you another chance? Because Marc D'Antonio did that a few times at Michigan State.
Well, he did it with Glenn Winston. That was a mistake. But
did you think it was just because he wanted the talent, or did he
absolutely.
Or he truly believed as sort of because a lot of coaches see themselves as fatherly guys, right?
I don't want to be 100% cynical.
And you don't want to kick your kid to the curb.
I bet you 90% of it is because of the talent.
Yeah, Marc D'Antonio.
I'm sure he cares to a certain
I believe,
extent.
and I haven't talked to him about it, gave Glenn Winston a second chance because he knew his team didn't have somebody who could perform to that ability in that position. And I think he learned from that. Now, having said that, just before the pandemic, I spoke to a very high-ranking former member of the Michigan State Athletic Department who said that, well, yeah, I'm trying to get as close to my source without giving the name, but that they thought the beginning of the fall for Marc D'Antonio was when Michigan State won the Rose Bowl, because they knew that now D'Antonio was thinking, we're that close to getting over the top. We got to get over the top. The only way to get over the top is to get some of these folks who might not match the character of the players we have, but have the 5-star credentials. And they brought some of those guys in. And as you recall, there were some very troubling incidents. It tore the team apart. They ended up losing most of those guys in that recruiting class. And instead of pushing Michigan State over the top, it set the program back. But it was the team decision, the team leadership decision that we're almost there. Now we've got to get those guys who can get us over the top, regardless of some of the warning signs that we've all seen that might have made us believe earlier that, not quite right for us.
Yeah, it wasn't just that, though, and I don't want to. There was some political issues, too. I don't know if you remember this, right? That locker room was fractured in those years, like 2015 to 2016, during the presidential election, to the point that
my man,
they were
the
told
linebacker.
not to talk about Trump and politics in that locker room because it got so heated and that team was so divided, right?
When you had the linebacker, the white linebacker
Yes.
whose girlfriend dated the black lineman, then he posted some racial stuff. Now, he ended up getting a second chance and coming back to the team, but that destroyed that guy's career, and I thought he had a very promising career, and it really tore team cohesion apart. But I think that all kind of came together, but all of which is to say, when you think you can finally get there and there's something that you should do that will get you there that maybe you're not comfortable with, people will tend to make that decision of, okay, I'm going to do the things I'm not comfortable with because I want to get there. And Antonio Brown, to me, is the very embodiment of that. Nobody talked him into coming back to the Buccaneers because they thought what this brother really needs is a little bit of money, a little bit of counseling, and this is the organization that can get his life on track. They just said, AB's available?
Sure.
We need somebody for Brady to throw to. Get AB.
Yeah. I'm sure they did a very general risk assessment. Like, okay, Tom can fix him. Tom Brady can fix him, so bring him on board.
Hey, got Randy Moss straightened out, and
sure,
you name it, but yeah.
That's really interesting though. So that whole D'Antonio thing, you really think you can't win doing things the right way? Do you think?
I didn't, but I don't know. I mean, is Nick Saban doing it the right way? I don't know enough about the kids in his program. I don't know enough about.
They're not causing trouble.
Dabo. It's done.
They're not getting into. I shouldn't say cause trouble. They're not getting into trouble.
So let me get a little deeper on that. The New York Times did a fantastic series on Gainesville, Florida police, and those guys were getting into trouble. Only they weren't because no one was reporting it. A guy who, great reporter, Ken
that used to happen
Armstrong.
in the 70s in Ann Arbor with Schembechler and Ann Arbor cops.
And some of it happened in Charlotte, not Charlotte, not Raleigh, Chapel Hill, where kids were taking classes that didn't exist.
Yeah.
Michigan had a problem with kids taking classes that didn't exist more recently than the 70s. And the Washington Huskies football team, a guy named Ken Armstrong, and I think his colleague was Nick Austin, Jim Schaefer and I got to know him a little bit through some journalism stuff. They did a whole series on how Washington Huskies under, I think, Neuheisel were basically ignoring rapes committed by these players that they knew about.
Yeah, Baylor.
And they weren't getting in trouble.
Yeah, Baylor, yeah.
So all of which is not to say that people in Tuscaloosa are doing horrible things. It's just to say, I don't know enough about what's going on around that program to say, because you can't always rely on the public record, because in some of these college towns,
the local
the
cops.
Ohio State quarterback getting pulled over and saying, I'm a phony name. I'm really JT Barrett, but I got to play on Sunday. Can you let me go? This happens all over the country, and I just think it's hard to judge. But I do know that whenever whenever the Spartans have allowed some people on their team that have questionable character, the ends not only have not justified the means, but they haven't gotten the ends they thought they were getting when they made that deal with the devil.
What do you think, Kaleena?
Well, I think Mel Tucker is doing a very good job of keeping his boys in check. He doesn't let anything slide. If there's something they're doing wrong, he makes sure they're suspended or they have something to do with it. And our new athletic director is also very good at making sure everyone is in check, coaches, students. And I think our program has gotten better because there's definitely been issues in the past with student athletes. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I try to keep myself out of that as much as possible.
It is a tightrope. You know, let's talk a little bit about some of the people who make this show possible, because we probably have waited too long to take care of the people that take care of us. First of all, I want to say in 2020, if you have not tried the new Altus beer, Sportsman, it's now available at independent grocers throughout Metro Detroit. Go to your corner store. Go to your independent, liquor package store, we call them out east. And
Go to wherever you get beer.
yeah, wherever you. Well, no, they're not at Meijer. You can only get
Jesus.
Altus at Meijer. You can also get Altus at your independent grocer. But
What is
if you
Altus
haven't tried
Sportsman?
Altus
What is it?
Sportsman,
And why have you even brought us any?
it's a new. We're going to be bringing some in the new
Okay.
year. So stand by.
How is it different?
for Sportsman. Well, I think we should probably have that experience on the air and share that with people.
But only at Meijer?
No. Altus is only at Meijer. Sportsman is available at independent grocers throughout Metro.
No,
Detroit.
Altus is only available, kind of like Count Chocula. You can only find it at Meijer.
What?
I don't know.
What are you talking about, really?
Just being silly.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know we were getting
Is there a website I could go to find out what stores it's in?
Altus.beer probably has a
Thank you.
locator on there.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry. But I know where you can go.
Or
to-
Kaleena
to-
could give you a little chip.
By the way, the stock market is doing great today. That's not always the case. And if you're looking for somebody who can help you navigate these treacherous waters, may I
Ooh.
suggest our friend Luke Nowacki.
Oh, is that a cue for me to read? You mean Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth, 248-663-4748?
No, I just want to mention Luke. That was not a cue.
Oh.
But since you've just started talking about Luke, just go ahead.
He wants to help you get a strategy. He wants you to be a long-term investor. Kaleena, do you invest?
I do not.
You do not? Well, you got to call Luke at Pinnacle Wealth, 248-663-4748. It's never too early to start. Get some stocks, maybe some bonds if you're a little older, 401k. What are you doing with that? How are you allocating it? So many things to know. Luke knows it all. Get advice, get a strategy. Once again, that's our buddy, Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth, 248-663-4748.
Because Luke will make it all about you, Kaleena.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Inc.
Yes, you're waving at me.
Yeah, well, because I didn't
I
know
missed
if we.
the cue.
I don't know if we wanted to. Yeah, the verbal cues were better than the visual.
I know. I'm sorry. I wasn't looking. My fault.
Did we want to talk about Joe Rogan?
Yeah, we can talk about it because I was
have
interested
time?
in
But-
your opinion
but
about it.
be-
I don't know.
be-
Do you have time, Sean? Do you have to be somewhere?
I do. No.
Before we get
Kaleena,
into
do you
Joe,
have to-
since we're talking about athletes and NIL, so I've known Kaleena many years. She's very talented young journalist. Now she's an up and coming podcaster and a rising sophomore. Or how do they do that? Is it, when you're in your second, are you rising then? Is that?
I don't know. I think rising is like the summer in between. So
Okay.
next year this summer I'll be a rising junior. I don't know.
Okay. Well, anyways, hot shot, Michigan State Spartan, all around good human being. Kaleena is our first name, image, and likeness sponsored athlete, but that was when she was on the rowing team. Kaleena, when she returns to campus, will strictly be an aspiring journalist. What communications person? You're
Journalist.
No longer an athlete?
I am not. So I got hurt over the summer. I have a thing called, well,
You don't have to get
I
into
have
it.
like hypermobility, so my joints are really flimsy, and I ended up spraining my ankle, and it just went all the way up to my hips, and I just wasn't recovering. Coaches thought it was best that I step away. They said I have an open invitation to come try out again. If
That
that's
sucks.
in my near future, I'm not sure, but we're just trying to recover and be as much of a student as I
Are
can.
you bummed?
Yeah. I mean, ever since I was a little kid, it's been my dream to be a college athlete.
Yeah, well, you did that.
And yeah, I did it.
And
I
you
got
had a lot of choices: volleyball, rowing,
I also got a scholarship for rugby at some random school. I don't know.
Greco-Roman wrestling.
A
was a
random
creepy
school.
Yeah, there were so
Is
many
it
random.
Bishop Sycamore?
I don't know. Like when you go through the recruiting process, because a lot of like high school athletes, they get recruiters pages, and it's basically a website. You just put your stats on. I got emails from the most random schools all over the country.
Oh, that's a great way to game the system.
Yeah, it's great. We did like little meetings about it in high school about how to get recruited. But
Really?
Michigan State was the best choice for me, whether it was actual sports or college.
Sure.
Because the other college I was looking into is University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Yeah.
And their journalism school is just not the same as Michigan State's.
Not even close. Damn bitch.
Great place, though.
Yeah, I love Madison.
You were looking at them for volleyball, right?
No, rowing.
Oh, for rowing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, and those lakes on that off that little isthmus there.
I love their campus. If I was going for strictly rowing and I didn't know what I was going to major in, it would have been Wisconsin. But I like Michigan State's journalism school. It's closer to home. But
I like that Shawn was part of the board of tourism there for a second. That little isthmus.
Well, Madison is a pretty great
it's
place.
beautiful. I love Madison.
Yeah, it's great.
But I don't know. It's sad. I definitely miss being a part of a team. But I've also
what I was
had a
gonna ask
chance
you, yeah.
to get a job at the radio station. I have had a chance to actually do things with my sorority. I didn't even apply, but I got appointed a director position for my sorority.
You've been getting
Hey.
air tagged.
yeah.
That's not as cool.
But
Check
it's
out
like
our second last episode.
it's nice that I actually have a chance to be a college student too. So I had the experience of being an athlete, and now I get the experience of being an actual college student. Because that's the hard part when being an athlete. You don't get those experiences.
So let me ask you, because our big debate here is as an athlete, and one of the reasons why we chose you is both because of your skill as an aspiring and up and coming communicator and journalist, but also because we know you, and because to me personally, I don't really feel like the big time programs like basketball and football that they really need any more support, because those guys have so much support. But as somebody on the rowing team who doesn't get as much attention, I presume as many resources, that it would be fun to sponsor somebody on a team like that. How do you feel about this whole situation where when you look at how many student athletes there really are classes of athletes? I mean, I'm imagining that you don't have a personal trainer, that you don't have tutors, that you don't have a special cafeteria you can go to, that they're not lavishing you with trips and clothing and you name it.
So we do have our tutors, we do have our trainers, but it's all based on like team size. So we're technically the equivalent to football, but we don't have the 3 facilities. We don't have they have pretty much their own staff completely. The rest of the sports all share it through Jennison, where they have everything in Duffy, and they've got their own practice indoor field. They've got their practice outdoor field. They've got their giant weight room, where we shared a weight room with pretty much every other sport.
You guys got some TheraBands, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, I wouldn't say that is, I mean, they bring in the money. If we don't have football, we don't have rowing. So it's just one of those things where it's like, I can see why they get more attention, but it's also not fair when we're putting in the same amount of work, if not more. And they're getting a special, they have the whole day planned out for them from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Wake up, go to Case, go get food, go to your first practice. All right, then go watch a meeting, then go to your classes from this period to this period, go to lunch, come back to practice. They have everything done for them where it's like, here you go, figure it out. And so, I mean, I don't think it's fair, but I also don't think it's not fair.
Well, I think one of the things that I've always argued on this show is that all of those things that are at the disposal of and maybe at the direction of these major programs is considerable compensation to go to school. That those are perks, those are benefits, those are things that are tangible, that are fungible, all that other stuff. As someone in a program that doesn't bring in the money and doesn't have the numbers to support that kind of support system, do you think that those varsity athletes who have all those things that's enough? That they should be getting more money and be getting endorsement deals and doing all these other things?
Well, I just found out recently that the football players, like we all have per diem cards, which is just a debit card. They get money on that for food. We never got that. And the more that I learn about what the football team gets, the more I'm like, okay, this is just bullshit.
They get a cost of attendance, right?
Yeah.
The COA.
They just get pretty much everything. Like their housing's all paid for. If they're an out-of-state student, they don't have to pay for anything. Where we have girls from out of the country who are trying to buy a car, so they have a car here.
I'm a Rowena. I remember her. She was the captain. No.
Oh, that was bad.
Sorry, Sean slid that to me. He
That was
wrote it.
bad.
He texted it to me.
It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, these girls are like going to be stuck here for, especially some of the girls from Australia. Visas are weird from Australia. Sometimes you can't go back for like years.
Yeah, well, especially with COVID now. Yeah.
So one of the girls on our team hadn't gone back since, like, when she went back for Christmas was the first time she's been back since she came last year. So the poor thing's just been stuck in America. And it's like, okay, well, they didn't pay for her food. They didn't pay for her housing. Like, she had her school paid for. But if you're an international student, it's not worth it to come here if your school's not paid for.
And if you can't keep your spot on the team, or if you have an injury that costs your spot, now she's stuck in Michigan.
Yeah, exactly. And she's got to find out how to pay for school. And I mean, I'm lucky enough to know that I can pay for my school. It's going to be fine. But the fact that I'm not on the team, I don't have my book scholarship anymore. I don't have my school scholarship anymore. I got to figure out how to pay for college when I came on thinking that I was going to be on the team for 4 years and my scholarship would be increasing each year.
And you can probably still drop in the butchery and get some quality eats, meats, and treats from Chef Dave and
Probably.
Julie.
They have some really good burgers.
So do you think that the privileges that are afforded, or the benefits that are afforded to the big time athletes, is that enough? Is that fair compensation?
I mean, yes, but they are giving up their whole lives. Like I said, when you're an athlete, you don't get the college experience. You don't get to just go out to a random bar every weekend and go crazy because you have a game and you have things to do. Like, you're responsible for your life. And
Those are all choices people make. They know that going into it.
yeah. And like I said, I think we do get the compensation we need, but we also lose a big chunk of our college experience.
So that's the next thing I want to ask you. You had a lot of demands on your time as a varsity athlete, and you got your letter, so that's pretty sweet. You did fulfill that dream of being a college athlete, just maybe not for the full tenure of your college career. But now looking at it as the commitment you needed to make to be successful in your sport at the level you competed at, and now where you are as a college, because and this is a terrible analogy, but I know everybody who worked on the college newspaper, and I'm sure people who worked at the college radio station, or were in the theater program, or who were in the production company for plays or shows, or were in the Panhellenic Council. You put so much time into that, you really shut yourself off to other student experiences. Having been in that situation where you were focused as an athlete and so many things were prescribed for you, and now being in a position where I got to pay for some more shit, but I can pretty much do whatever I want as long as I don't flunk out. Do you think that's a good thing that's happened? Is it just a different thing? Or if you, knowing what you know from both sides, had to pick one lifestyle or the other, what do you think you'd pick?
I don't know if I could pick. I'm kind of glad the decision was made for me. I will say I'm happier now because 20 hours of my week isn't just, okay, you need to go as hard as you can and be as fit as you can and try to prove yourself. It's a lot of pressure to try to prove yourself to your coach day in and day out, because some days you're going to wake up and you're going to be tired and you're not going to want to go, but you can't, and
That's
you have
life.
to go. But it's like,
What do you say to us old people that go, but that's life?
Have you ever rode?
No, but I mean, there's jobs. Sometimes you don't want to go to there's a lot of physically demanding jobs.
I mean, I guess, but
Not in
it's
the water
like,
at 5 a.m.
yeah, you're not waking up at 4 a.m. trying to like scarf down
Sure.
anything you
No, I
have in your
understand.
kitchen.
Believe me, I understand that
And like,
aspect of
No,
it.
he really doesn't.
you're pushing your body to its endpoint, especially with
I've done
students
that.
that are hurt. Like, we've had times where like trainers will just tell us, You just need to go back to practice. You have no choice. If you don't go back to practice, you will never play.
That's when you take your pads off and run off the field, AB style.
That's what I mean. And so that's just kind of how I felt. I got to the
That's not going to
point
work out for him either.
where my body was giving up on me. And I was...
Well, that's not worth it, yeah.
And so I feel I'm not going home and crying over rowing. I'm not calling my mom and saying, hey, I don't think I'm going to make it through this season. I didn't make it through the season, and that's okay. I've got friends to support me. I've made more friends now that I'm not on the same team with the same 30 girls every single day.
Yeah, your social circle's probably expanding.
Yeah, and the girls that are on the team are still my friends.
Yeah.
So I'm not, like, losing everything.
Missing out on all that NIL money from ML.
Oh, wow.
And don't forget the butchery, and of course our listeners have been very
right.
generous in supporting Kaleena as well.
Yeah, and it's been great. It's been feeding me. So
You going to keep coming back here? Or is it going to be too hard when classes are back in person?
I have to look at my Tuesday schedule, but I might actually be able to come back more.
Wait, aren't you guys virtual for a while now because of COVID?
We are.
3 weeks or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Were you surprised by that?
No.
No.
Well, she called me this morning and said, this is the deal. I got to get up by 11, eat whatever I can find in my kitchen, get over to Ferndale. I said, 11? This is nothing. It used to be 5
Yeah,
a.m.
no, hopefully she'll come. Hopefully he'll keep coming.
I know. I will say, since I've stopped rowing, I have been actually sleeping. So that's nice. And I have gotten in a bad habit of sleeping in, like, really bad. The other day, I slept till, like, 1 o'clock.
Oh, my God.
Oh, that sounds so good.
Awesome. I wish I could do that. Couldn't tell you the last time I slept.
Even if I ever have a day to do that once in a blue moon,
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Why? Because you're an old man now? You have to get up and use the bathroom
exactly.
at 4 a.m.?
Wake up at 7 a.m. and
See, I can't do it because I
try
have
to.
kids that'll come in and jump on my head.
Yeah, God.
Well, I'm glad this genuine, heartfelt, pure young person's experience was just somehow linked to Shawn having to pee.
Everything comes back to Shawn P.
Well, speaking of which, can we get to the read and the music so
Yeah.
I can?
Sorry.
Yes.
Do we want to talk about a couple of these other
We can
items?
save it because we're already running pretty late.
All right. How about who can save though?
If
Who?
you take your shoulder pads off, you'll need these people.
David Hall.
Yeah. Because you won't be earning money and you'll have to invest what you had.
That's a stretch.
That's a bad segue.
Wow.
That's a
Okay.
terrible segue.
I know.
I wish we had another sponsor to throw under the bus, but it's just old David Hall. Who's,
Well, it is the new year, and mortgage rates they're going to go up this year. We already know the Fed said that they're going to increase soon, so you got to act now. This is pretty much your last chance to refinance and lock in a low rate. You need to call Hall Financial right now. Get started with a free 5-minute mortgage review in as little as 5 minutes. Hall Financial will look at your financial situation and help you lower your monthly mortgage payment. Their number one priority is client service. They have over 4,000 5-star reviews. You know what that means?
that's a lot.
20,000 stars.
Oh,
Why would you go anywhere else?
I've given him 10 stars.
Not only is Hall Financial going to treat you like family, but they can also close your loan in 8 business days or less. They're the fastest in the industry. Get started today. Call 866-CALL-HALL. That's 866-CALL-HALL. Or chat with them online. callhallfirst.com.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
Well, we're turning into cool guys because we have Kaleena on the show, so I hope you'll keep coming back.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that you put a lot into rowing, and I know you'll put a lot into whatever coming next. So it's kind of cool you've had both experiences. I had the choice of being a starting quarterback for Michigan State when I enrolled, but
Okay.
I decided to do the student newspaper instead.
What year was that? What?
It was in 19...
Who was the quarterback then? Just out of
Dave
curiosity.
Urema,
Oh, you probably could have beat him out.
What year? What year did you start at state?
1985.
Yeah, I was thinking it was 1 year.
That was actually Dave Urema, local product, Brother Rice guy.
here we go.
Played quarterback for the Spartans.
Here comes the information dump.
Is he not like Tim Hortons either?
No, but so yes.
There you go. Good job, Shawn. Back on track.
If you know me, like
And
really
you're-
know me,
Well, nobody really does. You're a no.
well, who can know anybody? But you know that I really love Canada, and I'm a big fan of Canada. The only 2 fast food places I really stop are Tim Hortons and Culver's. But I have to break with Tim. I can't
Why?
support Tim anymore because of Tim Biebs.
Tepid coffee?
Why? What's
No,
wrong
no.
with what's wrong
No,
with Tim Biebs?
We do not need more Justin Bieber. We do not need
Says you.
Justin Bieber themed donuts. And here's what we really don't need. beanies, totes, and fanny packs themed with Justin Bieber donut holes selling for $29.99 each. Although,
They don't buy them.
if you get all three, you
There you go, Mark.
can get one free.
It's capitalism.
Simple solution.
I don't like drug dealers, even though I choose not to.
Oh, I see. So
I
now
don't
we're
like
equating
Tim
donut
Hortons.
holes to drug
Because
dealers.
it's junk. It's both junk. Some's junk to put in your arm. Some's junk
We
to
love
put in your
junk.
body. Okay, well, I guess I'm the only one who doesn't really care for Justin Bieber, but on behalf of myself
Hey, it's not going to make me go to Tim Hortons.
and
but
not
it's
the
certainly
unofficial Justin Bieber fan club members, Shawn Windsor and Marc Fellhauer, Tim Hortons, I say this with a heavy heart. You're my geek of the
We're
week.
never going to get their advertising now.
It's okay, the Canadian dollar is very weak.
See you guys.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
I'm sure by now you know we have one of the greatest, most devoted, most engaged, most interactive followings in all of podcasting. And we're grateful to all 6 of you who keep us involved and informed and up to date and keep us honest.
Does that include the people in this room? So you're just saying 2 people?
It's my parents.
Yeah,
there you go.
and of course all of our friends in
Thank
the
you,
Ukraine,
Kaleena's parents.
Gilgamesh. To those of you in
Gilgamesh.
I don't even know what that means. Anyway, listener John was the one who broke the sad news that Steve Bronski, Glaswegian, musician, and founder of Bronski Beat, died in December. So we honor this pioneering performer and activist with the much underappreciated junk. And if you listen really closely, you'll hear a pitch for a product in there. And I'm wondering if you know what it is they sampled and what they were trying to sell.
He can't take the street no more. The streets too full of junk. Things he'll hide in his room too full of junk. He turns on his TV full of junk. Process zombies pushing junk food, junk clothes, dressed in junk from head to toe. Eat what you given, eat what you get, eat what you given, eat what you get, eat what you given, eat what you get, eat what you given, and be thankful what you get. Once again, nightlife full of junk. Junk is all he'll ever know. Jump, music, jump, dance. Too many junk kids on the floor. Eat what you given, eat what you get, eat what you given, eat what you get, eat what you given. Eat what you get, eat what you given, and be thankful what you get. Instead he screams for more.
Life and bits of egg. Life and tender chewy bits with protein from bits of whole grain cereal, beefy bits, and bits of egg. Life fast growing and bits of egg. Right, Stella?
Eat what you given, eat what you get, eat
not a typical ML room 7609.
Really? I love Bronski Beat, and we've played the Communards before, which was the spin-off group started by Jimmy Somerville, who was the lead singer for Bronski Beat.
What do I mean by that? You like very deep lyrics. These
these are really deep.
Well, they're a little. I mean, not many of them though.
No, listen to this.
Eat what you get, eat what you're given.
He can't take the street no more. Street too full of junk. Thinks he'll hide in his room. Room too full of junk. He turns on his TV. TV full of junk. Processed zombies pushing junk. Junk food. Junk clothes. Dressed in junk from head to toe. Eat what you're given. Eat what you get. This is an incredible commentary on marketing and on branding and on how, and I would say in the 80s, but really in any era I can think of, things are shoved on us. We are supposed to consume things. We're meant to feel inferior if we're not wearing the right kind of jeans. Way back when, if you're not smoking the right cigarette. All that stuff.
Did you wear Jordache?
I did not. Just curious. No, you know what? But, okay.
Man, he was rolling there and then you just jumped in front of that.
So when I was a young man at Michigan State, Gerbeau was the big jean.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It was huge.
Everybody wanted to wear Gerbeaus, and I couldn't because I had really skinny legs, so I couldn't wear them. They looked like MC Hammer pants on me.
Jordache was more in the late 70s.
I think Jordache was more for the ladies.
No,
Do you have some Sassans in your closet?
No.
Does anything come between you and your Calvins?
You were listening.
I hope so.
You were clearly.
It's not fishnet.
You were clearly living in a progressive, non-judgmental place, weren't you?
Well, the other thing is, until I got to college, all I could afford was Gap jeans. I couldn't even afford Levi's. And Levi, remember how big 501 button?
I do.
Yes.
That was
you couldn't find them. The Russians all wanted them, right? They were the ones taking them.
That and Kent cigarettes.
When they opened up, yeah.
But but no, what this is saying is, and the thing about Steve Bronski and Bronski Beat, all gay guys, all from Glasgow, a very working class city in Scotland, they were rebelling against the norm. They were rebelling against the status quo. They were very outspoken about gay rights, which at that time was very dangerous. You could get your ass kicked. You could get arrested for being with someone. And the name of the album, Age of Consent, referred to the age of consent for men to be in a relationship versus men and women to be in a relationship. And at one time in the UK, men and women, men 21, women 16, that was a legal relationship, but men could not be in a relationship unless they were both 21. So a lot of what Bronski Beat did around some really great beats was try and push the envelope, try and bring about some evolution, if not a revolution, in the way people thought about relationships. In their videos, there was a lot about young men having longing for other young men and getting the crap beat out of them by other young men who didn't like young men liking young men. But the lyrics are very deep, and I've always liked this song, and I was looking for something from Bronski Beat that we haven't played before, something that people wouldn't know. I think most people know Hit That Perfect Beat Boy. Maybe they know Small Town Boy. There was a Donna Summer medley, of course, that the Bronski Beat did. But I went back and I found Junk, which I've always liked, and just thought, okay, it's kind of light. But then when I went back and read the lyrics, I thought, oh my God, this is really deep. It's really saying you are trying to make us look, act, and feel a certain way no matter where we go. Even in our own bedrooms, we can't escape marketing and advertising, but it's all junk. And I think it's great. And so now, did anybody know what that commercial was from in the middle of it? It was dog food.
Oh, really?
Do you remember that old dog food commercial? Oh, it's got crunchy and even bits of egg.
Well, that's why I got the bits of egg was
right, because it's
I
about
wasn't thinking dog food.
It's so much like human food. Your dog will love it because it's got bits of egg. And I think that's commentary within the commentary where they're saying, you know, when we're talking about the junk that's being foisted upon us that we should resist, this commercial is the epitome of it. They're basically trying to tell you your dog cares when it has eggs and it's dog food. Well, dogs will eat their own shit. So it's junk. So I'm sorry that Steve Bronski passed. He was only 71. He died of smoke inhalation after a fire, or maybe during a fire, in his London home. But it gives us a chance to revisit an underappreciated gem from a new wave powerhouse. Bronski beat. Rest in peace, Steve Bronski. And thank you very much to listener John for giving me a chance to go on this extended jag. Sean?
Better be Bits. It better be.
Is this the one?
Oh, yeah, it's Bits, Mike. It's Bits, I tell you. It's Bits. It's Bits.
I don't think so, but
it wasn't Kibbles and Bits.
No, this was something else. I remember it when it was on the air back then, but
because dogs love crunchy kibbles with chewy bits, all kinds of bits. For a one-of-a-kind taste,
Does it have
dogs just
egg?
Gotta have
It better be Bits.
kibbles and bits and bits and.
You're right.
Kaleena
that's the
is
point. Dogs will eat
enthralled over
anything.
there.
They'll eat
They will.
bits.
They'll
They
eat-
don't
No,
care.
I've tried Kaleena with the Jordache comment that obviously didn't work. Drew was up there saying, "Oh, you guys are still talking."
Yeah, you said unfortunately.
You did hear him say that, didn't you?
Yeah, and then you said unfortunately.
Oh la la. Okay. Nothing becomes Sean, and nothing comes between Sean and his bathroom break. We want to thank our regular donors. As you may have noticed, we have fewer sponsors. We are hoping you may consider sponsoring the show. That's either as an advertiser or just someone who sends us a few bucks every now and then. And we're grateful for those regular donors, especially those that provide a treasured token right on a pound note, as Adamant once suggested so memorably. Bryant sent us a nice Christmas gift along with these Bon Mots. First, I asked that Kaleena get half of this, as once again, she was a real trooper. And she did get half of it.
Thank you.
We also thank Benjamin and August for their generosity in December. And of course, Kristen started the new year right with her monthly gift. So Kristen, we appreciate your regular support. It's wonderful. And it's listeners like Kristen that will keep this show going. Mark, how do those listeners like Kristen and August and Bryant and Benjamin and Bryant and
You done?
Bryant Gumbel and how do they do that?
MLSoloDetroit.com. Little donate button takes you right to PayPal. Pretty simple.
That was
Where's our music, Mark?
It was easy.
Oh,
we get that for
our
feedback.
Yeah.
It's speaking of which, the creator of this wonderful music bed, Mr. Max Prokop, he and his band, I believe it's the King's English, or maybe it's Shasta Fox, will be playing in Royal Oak in April. More on that as it becomes official. We come to our feedback, and Rich writes, what Mark and Sean refuse to admit is the bias that follows and then inflates the Michigan athletic presence. Hutchison is a classic example of the hype that follows and attaches to Michigan teams and players. Hutchison was exalted to the top of the media heap after the OSU game. The CFP pregame hype for Hutchinson portrayed him as the best player on both teams. Then, as we all found out, Hutchinson was blocked. Imagine that. He was blocked!
Well, that hype train's pushing him, I guess, to the top of the NFL draft board, too. I guess they're just going to draft based on hype.
Yeah.
Well, he seems like a fine guy, so I hope for his sake the Lions do not draft him. Michelle inquires, Dear ML, do you think Mike Duggan serves out a full 4-year term, or does he have aspirations beyond Detroit? Would love to hear you theorize on his long-term plans. If he resigned, I believe that would make Mary Sheffield, the city council president, the first black female mayor of Detroit. Well, I think Duggan does plan to serve out that term, and I don't know what he plans to do after this. Maybe just retire. But he had a chance.
What else would he do?
Well, I was surprised that he didn't go to Washington with Biden, and he chose not to. So I think.
Oh, you mean like
sticking as a cabinet member, cabinet secretary. I know he doesn't really like the media scrutiny. He doesn't like people bugging him. He likes to get stuff done, and I think if you're at the cabinet level in D.C., there's less scrutiny from those of us in the Fourth Estate, or my colleagues who are still in the Fourth Estate. If he did resign, that would make Mary Sheffield the new city council, or the new president, if indeed she is elected city council president, as I expect she will be. That would be very interesting, and I've done plenty of stories about Ms. Sheffield and some of her activities in the past. So we'll see where that goes. But I think we got Mike D here for another 4 years. One of the things that I was thinking about. God, I wanted to ask Sean about this. It just totally slipped my mind. I'm sorry. I guess I have to wait for another week. Sean, you read me like a book. You and I almost, it's almost like we use the same mind.
I admire you.
What was I thinking?
I respect you.
Okay. I guess
That's how you're reading his mind?
Yeah.
That's what he was thinking?
Sean, what's...
I'm sure you're wrong.
What's coming up on the next Carlos and Sean podcast?
Nothing we already haven't talked about here, and it'll be several days late, so why bother?
What a great promotion.
Wow.
No, we're going to talk Lions and quarterbacks, and who knows? We're probably going to talk about Antonio Brown and mental health, like I said.
I can,
How about that?
Okay.
I can hardly wait.
Yeah.
God, it was something about...
This is going to drive him nuts that he cannot remember.
I'm going to remember it after the show.
It's going to... this is great because it's going to drive him just insane.
Well, when I remember, I'm going to post it on... I'm going to post it on Facebook. You can find us ML Elric. That's ML no periods Elric. I'll put it on Twitter at Elric. And of course, please subscribe to us at YouTube. That channel is ML Elric as well, where you can watch the live broadcast, you can watch replays, and all kinds of good stuff that we put up there over the years. So please subscribe to the show. Please rate the show. Please share the show. And please, I say this as pathetically as possible, please love the show. Just a little bit.
Sean.
Kaleena, this is where we have somebody who has a dynamic podcast plug their show. What's going on with your podcast?
I have no idea. I haven't even gone back to work yet.
There you go.
Both of them. Just way to sell it.
I think
you are learning from the wrong member of the team on selling.
I think the next group I have on is the Paranormal Society. So that'll be
sounds
very
cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
I'm excited to meet with them, but
Are they hunting for Sean's spirit?
A waste
Yeah.
of time.
We should have him here.
No, we shouldn't.
Yeah, we should.
it would be an
I
interesting
think
one.
it'd be awesome.
Why, are you into the paranormal?
There's some crazy
No, but I'm just
stuff.
interested in people that have their own thing.
We could all use more exercising. I think that's a resolution. What are they? I mean, is this Dr. Venkman and Bill Murray in a basement, or are these really students who form this group?
It's like students. They go around. They go to like haunted locations and tell ghost stories. I don't know. I'm excited to meet with them though.
And are they normal?
I don't know. I haven't met them yet.
But you didn't pre-interview them or any. But I mean, what do you know? I mean, is this like the Scooby-Doo gang or these dorks with infrared?
No, she saw paranormal and thought, "Oh, that'd be interesting."
So they believe in
As
ghosts.
she should.
I emailed them. There's a girl who works at the radio station who's part of the club.
Okay.
And she referred me to them. And
She
she's
believes
normal.
in ghosts.
I guess.
Damn, we may have a spot for Kaleena on the show as our guest booker, because that sounds like a better show than we got lined up. It sure as hell sounds better than the Shawn Windsor podcast that was recorded months ago and won't be posted for another year and is talking about
They'll be
why they
covering the
shouldn't
Big
have
Ten championship
why they
game.
shouldn't have drafted Andre. Oh, by the way, speaking of
Lord.
broadcasters,
I thought this was Cyrus. Was
That's my
coming.
fault, Sean.
no, did anybody catch Andre Ware doing the Notre Dame game?
Yeah.
Speaking of number one draft picks of the Detroit Lions who failed as athletes but are fantastic, he is a
Really good.
great broadcaster.
Yeah.
He's really, really good.
He's no Chuck Long. No, I don't know. We're never having a Chuck Long. Anyway,
I don't
sorry.
know.
I don't want to go off on another tangent.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, it was a pleasure. It was fun to be here with you guys, as always.
I know
It's
something. I was
driving him
gonna-
nuts. He can't think of what it was.
gonna
Come on,
like
man.
5 minutes ago.
Come on, man.
All right. Sean's got to go again. So, Cyrus, let Sean take out. Well, no. Let's just,
keep that in your pants.
we'll
Come
keep
on.
that.
Can you
dig that?
It's a family show.
it? Can you dig it?
It's midnight on my beat now. The street's in full swing. If you want to get to the top quick,
Detroit.
there's a place to do it. But there are plenty of guys around. Angle guys. Weisenheimers. Digging holes to help you fall back to the bottom. I can only hope I find them. Those guys figuring angles on the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world.
Detroit.
My beat.